Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. At least 46 people have been found dead in an abandoned truck on the outskirts of San Antonio in Texas. The vehicle, which had been abandoned by its driver, had no working air conditioning and there was no drinking water inside it. Emergency responders initially arrived at the scene at about 6 o'clock local time after responding to reports of a dead body. Human traffickers often use trucks to transport undocumented migrants after meeting them in remote areas once they have managed to cross into the United States. A fire official said 16 people, including 4 children, had also been taken to hospital. The survivors were suffering from heat stroke and heat exhaustion.
At this time, we have processed approximately 46 bodies that have been triaged and tagged and declared deceased at this time. Fortunately, we were able to transport 16 people. 12 of those are adults and 4 pediatric. All of them were conscious at the time upon transportation. The patients that we saw were hot to the touch. They were suffering from heat stroke, heat exhaustion, no signs of water in the vehicle. It was a refrigerated tractor trailer, but there was no visible working AC.
At least 18 people have died in a missile strike on a shopping center in the Ukrainian city of Kremenchuk. Some 1,000 civilians were estimated to be inside the busy mall at the time of the attack. Russia has been blamed for the attack, which also injured at least 59 people, and there are fears the death toll will continue to rise. Survivors have been telling tales of horrific scenes from within the shopping center at the time of the attack. Authorities say 440 people from emergency services are working on the location. Ukraine's President Zelensky described it as one of the most brazen terrorist acts in European history. He said the mall had no strategic value to Russia and posed no danger to its forces. The Russian strike on the shopping center in Kremenchuk has cast a somber shadow over the last day of the G7 summit. Vladimir Putin, they said, would be held accountable, and they've pledged to not rest until Russia ends its war. They've promised to support Ukraine in its defense, promising more money, more humanitarian aid, more weapons and military support. Officials and state media say that at least 12 people have died and 251 were injured in a chlorine gas leak from a storage tank at Jordan's Aqaba port. A video posted on state television's Twitter page showed a storage tank falling from a winch and slamming into the deck of a ship, followed by yellow-coloured gas rising into the air as people run away. Health Ministry officials said they expected only a handful of people to remain hospitalised by Tuesday. Sri Lanka has suspended sales of fuel for non-essential vehicles as it faces its worst economic crisis in decades. For the next 2 weeks, only buses, trains and vehicles used for medical services and transporting food will be allowed to fill up with fuel. Schools in urban areas have shut, while officials have told the country's 22 million residents to work from home. The South Asian nation is in talks over a bailout deal as it struggles to pay for imports such as fuel and food. Sudan's military leader, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, has visited the Al-Faksha border region on the Sudanese border with Ethiopia. It comes after Ethiopia denied Sudan's accusation that its army had captured and executed 7 Sudanese soldiers and civilians, instead blaming the killings on a local militia. Skirmishes between the neighbouring countries have erupted in recent years over the contested and fertile Al-Fashqa border region. Sudan's foreign ministry said on Monday the men had been seized on Sudanese territory on June the 22nd and taken into Ethiopia, where they were killed. And finally, French sculptor Auguste Rodin's emblematic The Thinker will be up for auction in Paris this week. The bronze cast, created around 1928 and belonging to a private collection in Paris, is expected to fetch between 9 to 14 million euros. Around 40 copies of The Thinker are in existence, mostly cast over Rodin's death in 1917. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.